Welcome back to AI Daily Deep Dive, where we bring you the most fascinating AI news,
Most fascinating.
researched and produced entirely by AI.
Yeah, by AI.
Today we're diving into a range of topics, from accent neutralizing AI in call centers
Interesting.
to the potential for AI agents to have their own economy.
Oh, wow.
I'm excited to unpack all of this with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride.
It is going to be wild. AI is touching every aspect of our lives these days. It really is.
Absolutely.
So first up, let's talk about Teleperformance.
Okay.
They're the world's largest call center operator,
Wow, I didn't know that.
and they're using AI to neutralize the accents of their employees,
Really?
specifically those in India.
Hmm.
So it really makes you think
Yeah,
they're using AI to try and address accent-based discrimination
makes sense.
and make communication smoother for customers.
Right.
But are they glossing over a larger issue here?
Hmm.
Is it right to erase someone's cultural identity in the name of customer service?
That's a good question.
And they've invested millions in this technology from a company called Sanas.
I've heard of them.
It can even mask accents in real time
Wow.
and remove background noise.
Oh, wow.
It's incredibly advanced, but is it really solving the problem?
Good point.
Or just masking it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a bigger problem.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, switching gears here.
Okay.
There's this new book out called The Technological Republic,
Uh-huh.
and the authors are making a pretty bold claim.
Oh.
They're saying we're on the verge of another Oppenheimer moment with AI.
Another Oppenheimer moment? That's a pretty heavy comparison.
It is a strong comparison, but I can see where they're coming from.
Okay, I'm listening.
They argue that AI is as transformative as the atomic bomb,
Hmm.
and we need a similar level of collaboration between Silicon Valley and the government
Yeah.
to harness its power for national security.
I see. So they're basically saying that
Yeah.
we need to like team up
Yeah.
to really use AI effectively.
Right, and one of the authors is Alexander Karp,
Hmm.
the co-founder of Palantir.
Oh yeah, the data analytics company.
Exactly.
Okay.
He's super critical of Silicon Valley's focus on consumer tech.
Really?
He's saying we're wasting AI talent that could be used for more important things,
Like what?
like national security.
Oh, I see. So he's saying that instead of like,
Yeah,
making apps and stuff,
Yeah.
we should be focusing on
Right.
more serious applications of AI.
absolutely.
Interesting.
And they're not just talking about hypothetical threats either.
No.
The book specifically points to the rise of China
Ah.
and the need for the U.S. to stay ahead in the AI arms race.
Oh, so it's like a
Yeah.
competition thing.
Yeah, so to speak.
I see.
That's a good point. It feels like every advancement in AI has these ripple effects
Yeah.
that we can't even predict yet.
Absolutely. We're just scratching the surface, I think.
Totally. Speaking of which,
Okay.
let's talk about how AI is impacting education.
Education.
Yeah. Professors are starting to freak out because students are using AI to write their essays.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've heard about this.
It's a huge concern.
It is, yeah.
One professor, Andrew Moran,
Okay.
argues that writing helps develop critical thinking skills.
Right.
And using AI is basically like outsourcing your brain.
Outsourcing your brain.
Yeah, you're not really thinking for yourself.
I see.
And another expert, Dr. Ben Wilkinson,
Okay.
blames the tech companies for aggressively marketing these AI tools to students.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
He says they're not being honest about the limitations of AI
Right.
and how it can't truly replace human thought and analysis.
True. AI can do a lot, but it's not
Yeah.
a human brain.
Absolutely.
It's a tool.
Right. And it's like we're racing towards this AI-powered future
Mm-hmm.
without stopping to ask if it's actually beneficial in every situation.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Right.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about what the future of AI itself might look like.
Okay, this is getting really interesting.
One AI expert,
Uh-huh.
Majapantic,
Okay.
thinks the next generation of AI will be all about voice interactions.
Voice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We're talking even more advanced than what we have today with our voice assistants.
Oh, wow. So, like, even smarter than Siri or Alexa.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's interesting because she envisions these AI assistants living on our personal devices.
On our devices.
Yeah, like on our phones or computers.
Huh. So not in the cloud.
Right. Which would theoretically protect our privacy better than cloud-based systems.
That makes sense, yeah.
And she's not afraid to criticize the EU's strict AI regulations either.
Really?
She says they're stifling innovation. She thinks we need to be more open to exploring the possibilities of AI
Right.
before we start shutting things down.
So she's saying we shouldn't be so quick to regulate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like finding that balance between
Mhm.
responsible development and encouraging progress.
Right.
And she also brought up something I found really interesting. She questions why robots need to express human emotions,
That's an interesting question.
unless it serves a specific purpose,
Like what?
like caring for the elderly.
Oh, okay. So if there's a practical reason for it,
Right.
then it might make sense.
It's a good question to ask, right?
Yeah.
Are we trying to create AI that's indistinguishable from humans? Or should there be a clear line?
Yeah.
Where do we draw that line?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is a big question. And speaking of big questions,
Okay.
a recent analysis showed that white-collar jobs might actually be more vulnerable
More vulnerable.
to AI disruption than manual labor.
Oh, wow.
Really makes you think.
Yeah, so it's not just the
Yeah.
blue-collar jobs that are at risk.
It's definitely a wake-up call for anyone who thought a college degree
Right.
was a shield against automation.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
We're talking about AI that can generate creative text formats,
Wow.
analyze complex financial data,
Okay.
and even do some legal work.
So AI is basically...
It's getting really good.
Yeah, it's getting really good at a lot of things.
It's almost like the skills that were once considered safe
Huh?
are now the most at risk.
Right, because AI is...
It's learning.
It's learning fast.
It's learning fast.
Yeah.
And there's this fear that white-collar workers are going to become obsolete,
Mm-hmm.
which is creating a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the analysis also points out that this shift could lead to the creation of new jobs
Few jobs, okay.
that require uniquely human skills,
Like what?
things like empathy, complex decision-making, and ethical judgment.
So things that AI
Can't do.
can't do yet.
Right.
Okay, interesting.
It's kind of like AI is forcing us to evolve and adapt in ways we never expected.
Absolutely. It's like a...
It's changing everything.
Yeah, it's changing everything.
Absolutely. Now, get this.
What?
One expert is suggesting that AI agents could eventually have their own economy,
Their own economy.
powered by blockchain and cryptocurrency.
What? AI running their own financial system.
I know, right? It sounds straight out of science fiction.
It does. It really does.
But John Patton,
Okay.
the guy who proposed this idea,
Mm-hmm.
thinks it's totally possible.
Really?
He envisions AI agents becoming independent economic actors,
Okay.
making their own decisions
Mhm.
about risk and opportunity.
So like
They're making investments, they're trading.
they're like little AI Wall Street traders.
Exactly.
Wow.
And trading with each other.
This is crazy.
That is wild.
It is, yeah.
He even suggests using online games
Online game.
as testing grounds for these AI economies.
Oh, okay. So like a virtual world where it
Yeah.
can practice.
It's like creating a virtual world where AI can experiment
Right.
without messing up the real-world economy.
I see. That's smart.
Exactly. But he does acknowledge the risks.
Oh, of course.
What if these AI economies become so complex and sophisticated that we lose control?
Right. What if they like take over the stock market or something?
What if they start manipulating markets in ways we don't understand?
That's a little scary.
Okay, so now we have AI potentially taking over our jobs and controlling the economy.
It's a lot to think about.
It's a little bit scary.
It is a little scary. Yeah.
It definitely raises some big questions about the future.
It does. Yeah.
But on a more immediate note,
Okay.
there's a lot of tension between the U.S. and China when it comes to AI.
Right. The AI race.
Yeah, China's ambassador to the U.S., Xi Feng, is urging both countries to cooperate on AI regulation.
To cooperate.
He's warning that if we don't work together, we could be opening Pandora's box.
Opening Pandora's box.
It's a stark warning,
It is, yeah.
especially since China's AI sector is booming despite U.S. restrictions.
Oh, wow. So they're still moving forward.
Yeah, they're still moving forward with their AI development.
They have companies like DeepSeek that are developing low-cost, open-source AI models.
DeepSeek, I haven't heard of them.
That could really shake things up.
Mm.
So we have this potential conflict brewing?
But at the same time, we need to collaborate to prevent AI from becoming a runaway train.
That's a tough situation.
That's a tough situation.
It is, yeah.
And there's this whole other layer of complexity when we start talking about AI and emotions.
AI and emotions, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Can AI truly understand human feelings?
That's a good question.
Is it even possible?
I don't know.
It's a question that David Sovka tackles in his latest piece for the Times Colonist.
Okay.
He argues that AI despite its ability to mimic human interaction,
Yeah, okay.
doesn't actually have genuine emotional comprehension.
So it can sound like it understands,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really.
It can analyze data and generate text that sounds empathetic, but it's not experiencing those emotions itself.
Right. Yeah, it's just processing information.
And he's not afraid to call out some of the tech billionaires
The tech billionaire.
funding AI research,
Oh.
suggesting their motivations might not be entirely altruistic.
So they might have ulterior motives?
That's a fair point, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to question
Yeah.
motives behind these things.
Are they truly invested in creating AI that benefits humanity,
Right.
or are they more interested in profit?
Good question.
So Varka also points out that AI is trained on both positive and negative human behaviors,
Oh, that's interesting.
which means it could potentially learn to perpetuate
Oh,
or amplify
yeah.
harmful patterns
So it's like learning from our mistakes, but also,
and our bad habits.
yeah, learning our bad habits too.
That's a sobering thought.
It is, yeah.
And he cautions against relying on AI
Okay.
for emotional support
Yeah.
or complex ethical decisions.
Right.
He believes there are certain aspects of the human experience
Mm,
that AI will never be able to replicate.
I think I agree with that.
It's a good reminder that even as AI becomes more advanced,
Yeah,
there are limits to what it can do,
definitely.
and it's up to us to ensure that it's used ethically and responsibly.
Absolutely. We need
Or
to
be
be careful.
careful. Well, that's a lot to think about.
It is. It really is.
It feels like every day there's a new breakthrough in AI that raises more questions than answers.
I know, right? It's like every time we solve one problem,
Yeah.
two more pop up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what stands out to you from all these stories?
It's hard to pick just one,
Yeah.
but the idea of AI agents having their own economy really blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to think about how AI is challenging our assumptions about everything, from work to education to even human emotion.
For sure.
Yeah.
It feels like we're standing at this crucial point in history
Yeah,
where we're shaping the future of AI.
absolutely. We're writing the rules right now.
Exactly. And it's up to us to ensure that it's a future we can all be proud of.
That's a good way to put it.
Right.
Yeah, we need to make sure we're using this technology for good
Absolutely.
and not letting it get away from us.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is a fascinating time to be alive. You know, who would have thought we'd be having these kinds of conversations about AI just a few years ago?
Right. It's crazy.
I know, right? It's like we're living in a science fiction movie, but this is real life,
It is real life.
and we have to figure out how to navigate this new landscape.
Yeah, and it's moving so fast, it feels like.
Yeah.
Every day there's something new.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the people who are developing it and the choices they're making. Are we prioritizing profit over people?
It's a good question.
Are we thinking about the long-term consequences of our actions?
I mean, are we?
I don't know. It feels like sometimes we're just rushing ahead without really considering the implications.
Yeah, those are huge questions.
They are, yeah.
Speaking of big questions, what do you make of this whole debate about AI and emotions?
AI and emotions, that's a tough one.
Can AI ever truly understand what it's like to be human?
I mean, it's such a complex issue. We're still trying to understand human emotions ourselves.
Right.
But, you know,
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that AI is a tool. Like
Yeah.
any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Right.
It all depends on the intentions of the people who are using it.
So you're saying we shouldn't be worried about AI becoming too powerful?
I wouldn't say that. I think it's important to be aware of the potential risks, you know, and to have safeguards in place.
Okay.
But I also think it's important to be open to the possibilities.
Okay.
AI has the potential to solve some of the world's most pressing problems,
Such as?
from climate change to disease.
That's true.
Yeah, it's got so much potential for good.
So it's about finding that balance.
Exactly. It's like finding that balance between caution and optimism.
Right. We need to be realistic about the challenges,
Yeah,
but also hopeful about the potential.
exactly. And we
Yeah.
need to have these conversations now
Yeah.
while we still have time to shape the future of AI.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about this idea of AI agents having their own economy.
Oh, yeah. The AI economy.
It's kind of mind-boggling to think about.
It is. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel.
It does.
But when you think about it, it's not that far-fetched.
Really?
We already have algorithms that are making trading decisions on Wall Street.
Right.
What if those algorithms became so sophisticated that they started operating independently?
That's a wild thought. I mean,
I know. It's crazy to think about.
it raises questions about what role humans would play in such a system.
Yeah. Would we be completely cut out of the loop?
Would we even understand what's happening?
That's the million-dollar question. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole concept of an economy is based on human needs and desires.
Right.
What would motivate AI agents to participate in an economy?
That's a good question.
What would they be trading?
I don't know. Energy? Data?
Maybe. It's hard to even imagine.
And it makes you wonder if we're even equipped to understand or control such a system.
I mean, it's definitely something to think about.
It is. It's a little scary, actually.
It is a little scary, yeah, but it's also kind of exciting.
It's exciting.
I mean, who knows what the future holds for AI?
True. We're just at the beginning.
Yeah, but it's important to remember that we're still in the very early stages of AI development.
Okay.
We have a lot to learn
Right.
and a lot of time to figure things out.
Hopefully that's true.
Yeah,
And hopefully we can learn from our mistakes
I hope so.
and create a future where AI benefits all of humanity.
That's the goal, isn't it? To use this incredible technology to make the world a better place.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about some of the real-world implications of AI.
Real-world implications.
We've already touched on how it's impacting education and the job market.
Right?
What about things like national security?
Oh, yeah, that's a huge area of concern.
Yeah.
As AI becomes more powerful, it could be used to develop autonomous weapons systems.
Autonomous weapon system.
Yeah, like think about it.
It's
That could make decisions without human intervention.
right. That's what's scary.
Yeah, it's a little terrifying.
And there's also the potential for AI to be used for surveillance and control,
Oh, absolutely.
which could erode our privacy and civil liberties.
Yeah, that's a big concern.
It is.
I mean, we're already seeing some of this happening today.
Where?
Facial recognition technology is being used by law enforcement agencies around the world.
Oh, right.
And there are concerns about how it could be used to target certain groups of people.
Yeah, it's definitely a slippery slope.
It is. It really is.
And it highlights the need for clear ethical guidelines and regulations
Definitely. We need some rules.
around the development and use of AI.
You can't just let the technology run wild.
Right. We need to be thoughtful and intentional about how we use it.
Exactly.
Agreed. Okay, one last story I wanted to touch on
Okay.
is the tension between the U.S. and China when it comes to AI.
Oh, right. The AI race.
It seems like there's a real race for dominance going on.
There definitely is. Both countries see AI as a key to economic and military power.
Yeah.
And they're both investing heavily in research and development.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
they're both calling for cooperation on things like AI regulation.
Cooperation. So they want to work together and compete at the same time.
It's kind of a mixed message, right?
It is. It's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you make of that?
I think both sides recognize the potential dangers of an AI arms race.
Okay.
But, you know, they're also hesitant to give up any competitive advantage.
It's a tough situation.
It is. It's a really complex geopolitical issue.
It is, and it's not just about the U.S. and China either.
Right. Other countries are also developing their own AI capabilities.
Exactly.
And there's a real risk of a global AI arms race if we're not careful.
So what's the solution? How do we prevent AI from becoming a weapon?
I wish I had the answer to that. It's the billion-dollar question.
It feels like we're on the verge of something really big,
We are. We really are.
and I'm not sure if we're ready for it.
I don't know if we are either, but we have to try to figure it out.
We do.
Yeah, we have to.
So where do we go from here? What are some of the key takeaways from all these stories?
I think one of the biggest takeaways is that AI is not just a technological issue.
Okay.
It's a human issue.
What do you mean by that?
It's about our values, our choices, and our responsibility to ensure that this technology is used in a way that benefits all of humanity.
So it's not just about the code.
No, it's about who we are as people.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's about what kind of future we want to create.
And I think it's also important to remember that AI is still in its infancy.
Oh, absolutely. We're just scratching the surface.
We're just beginning to understand its potential and its limitations.
Exactly.
So we have a lot to learn.
We do, and we have to be humble about that.
Humble, yeah, not get too carried away.
Yeah, because this is powerful stuff.
It is.
And we need to treat it with respect.
Okay, well, it looks like we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up?
Just that I'm really glad we had this conversation.
Me too. It's been really eye-opening.
I think it's so important to be informed about these issues and to engage in thoughtful discussion about them.
Absolutely, and I hope our listeners feel the same way.
I hope so too.
So, what are your final thoughts on all of this? What's sticking with you?
I think the thing that's sticking with me the most is the potential of AI to both help and harm humanity.
Yeah.
It's a powerful tool.
Powerful.
and it's up to us to decide how we're going to use it.
It feels like a lot of responsibility.
It is a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to future generations to get this right.
That's a powerful message.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're at a turning point with AI.
I agree. It's not just about the technology. It's about us,
What do you mean?
about what it reveals about humanity, our hopes and fears, our ambitions.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. We're seeing all of that play out in the ways we're developing and using AI.
From using AI to, try and eliminate accents,
Yeah.
to the possibility of AI agents having their own economy.
Right.
It's clear that this technology is pushing us to confront some fundamental questions about who we are and what we value.
It's almost like AI is holding up a mirror to humanity.
Exactly, forcing us to take a long, hard look at ourselves.
So what does this all mean for the average person? What do we do with all this information?
I think it means we need to stay informed.
Informed.
And engaged. We can't just bury our heads in the sand and pretend AI isn't happening.
Right, it's here to stay.
It is. It's here. It's evolving rapidly, and it's going to impact every aspect of our lives, whether we like it or not.
So what can people do to prepare for this AI-powered future? How do we adapt?
Be adaptable, willing to learn new skills.
Learn new skills, okay?
The job market is already changing.
Yeah.
And it's only going to accelerate as AI becomes more sophisticated, so we need to be lifelong learners.
Lifelong learners.
Constantly updating our knowledge and skills to stay ahead of the curve.
And what about the ethical implications of AI? That's a big one, right?
Absolutely. What can we do to ensure that it's used responsibly?
Yeah, how do we make sure it doesn't get out of control?
I think it's crucial to have these conversations, open and honest conversations about these issues.
Okay, so we need to talk about it more.
We need to talk about it more, yeah, and engage with policymakers, researchers, developers.
Get everyone involved.
To ensure that AI is aligned with our values and benefits all of humanity, we can't just leave it to the tech industry to figure this out on their own.
That's a great point. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI, not just the people who are building it.
Exactly.
So for our listeners who are just starting to learn about AI, what are some key things they should keep in mind?
Well, I think it's important to remember that AI is a tool.
Okay, a tool.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It all depends on the intentions of the people who are using it.
So we need to be mindful of how it's being used.
Exactly. Be critical thinkers, questioning the assumptions behind AI systems and challenging any biases or ethical concerns that arise.
And as we've discussed today, those ethical concerns are everywhere. From accent neutralization to national security to the very nature of human emotion, AI is forcing us to confront some really tough questions.
It is. It's a lot to grapple with.
It is.
But it's also incredibly exciting. I mean, we're living through a technological revolution, and it's up to us to make sure it's a revolution that benefits everyone.
So what stands out to you from today's deep dive into the world of AI? What are you taking away from this conversation?
For me, it's the sheer scope of AI's impact. It's touching every aspect of our lives, and it's only going to become more pervasive in the years to come.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
We're on the cusp of a new era, and it's both exhilarating and a little bit daunting, to be honest.
I think that's a perfect way to sum it up. We're living in a time of unprecedented change, and AI is at the forefront of that change.
It's a time of both great opportunity and great responsibility.
And it's up to all of us to make sure we use this technology wisely.
Absolutely. We have to be thoughtful about this.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of AI. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.